Hello. Everyone's in really early tonight. This is fantastic. There's a load of commenters in. It's brilliant. Uh, this is Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by, it was Pro 14 Rugby. It still is Pro 14 Rugby, but tonight we'll be talking a lot about the United Rugby Championship that was announced today. We're going out on the Pro 14 social channels. My name's Andy McGeady. I have Sean Holley along for the ride. How are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, just really proud that Jay-Z agreed for me to write the words to the theme tune for the new URC. No, it's great, mate. Excited. It's been a long day waiting for the pod, isn't it? Because the announcement, we've sort of had an inkling. But now it's out. We've got the boss coming on, and yeah, can't wait to get stuck in.
It's good. Gcobani Bobo, how are you?
Oh, I can't complain. How you lads doing? I'm so excited. It's just such good news. I mean, just listening to Jay-Z with rugby in the background. That's what I dreamt about when I was growing up, listening to Jay-Z those days. And now finally, North collides with the South. So this is good times. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's good. I was looking up that is one of my favorite drops. Like the very start of public service announcement where the organ comes in, the drop. I know it's a small thing, but there's few enough of these launches where I actually find myself turning up the volume. And that's what I was doing this morning. It was super. Paul Williams, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I was just talking then for about a minute on mute. So it's a perfect start when the boss is coming on. Look like I know what I'm doing. Get sacked in about 20 minutes. Really good. How are you?
I'm very well. It is. We do have the boss coming on. Martin Anayi, chief bottle washer of this championship, is going to be joining us in a little while. So we've been storing up some questions during the day, or I have. Get more questions in alongside Adam in the background. Super producer will be picking up the best of them to put to us and to the chief, Martin, and we'll see how we go. So we will be talking about the United Rugby Championship, and we'll be talking about how it works. We'll be talking about how Europe will work. We will be looking at the fixtures and the pools. We will be looking at the rugby that was played last weekend, and a quick look forward to the Rainbow Cup final and anything else you are having yourselves, folks. I think that's it. Let's say hello to some of the regulars come in, because you were in really early today. This is great. Like 20 minutes before kickoff.
Oh, wow.
It is fantastic. Matteo Alfano, welcome. We'll field the first question. Can the South African sides qualify for the Champions Cup?
Yes.
Andrew Daniel, straight in. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Fiona's a Galway laddie. They did a brilliant job with the promo, has got me very excited. A few people seem to be quite happy with what they've seen today. So it's good. Yeah, this is going to be good. Scott Graham, the question about the broadcasters, we will talk to Martin about that, because I know he's been talking to an outlet about that today, so I reckon it's fair game. And this is where the producer gets very worried in the background. He'll be in about 5 minutes, folks. So yeah, look, Paul, I mean, we got a heads up on this just because we kind of need to know the direction things are going. What's your gut feeling and from what you're seeing in Wales?
Well, on a personal level, I think it's awesome, right? So I know we've had the Rainbow Cup, and now this feels really official. I can't wait for it to start. I can't wait to see players like Sia Khaleesi up here. I love the tweaks. I love the less overlap of Test rugby. It's got everything that I want. It's got more money for the clubs. It could potentially mean that Test players are going to get more time with their clubs. It's got everything I've been looking for. And I think in Wales, it's been really well received. On the whole, it's been very, very well received. It's everything I was sort of hoping for, really. And I genuinely can't wait for it to start.
Gcobani, what's it like in South Africa? Because I know it's been kind of teased for a while, but now we actually have the proper detail.
Yeah, it's ever since the Super Rugby sort of went down with the COVID, there's been a sense of knowing really where we're going next. And And we've always teased about the idea of playing up in Europe and seeing how great and enjoy all the tournaments and the championships that were being played there. And mostly of our players really finding a lot of joy when they played over there. And they've been singly making sure that the name South Africa sort of rose about. And then for now, seeing this as a possibility, it's just the possibilities and the opening of the game to new territory. I mean, South Africa seeing all those different cultures, clubs, and the history that goes beyond what we have seen. And then finally bringing that contest of North versus South, and then opening up this global sort of perspective to the game where the respect of letting those internationals sort of happen at the right time, which I think for the interest of the fan, that's what we want to see. We want to see the better squads and profiles of players playing and competing against each other. I think that will bring a whole lot of imagination to it. I think excitement seems to rise around, and there's a lot of looking forward to this forthcoming. I think it's a new era, a new dawn for South Africa, something that I think the younger generation will really ravel to it because they'll see it at the right times. I think prime time zone will be key for this, and it's going to suit well to the person who wants to consume the game.
I really hate thinking about the younger generation because it reminds me I'm no longer in that generation. It's been some time. So let's before we get the boss man in, let's tee up just for anyone who hasn't seen the explainer video of how the competition will actually work. I think that's important because if you haven't seen it, it's time to get your head around it and don't overthink it. It does work. So Adam, you can roll that fairly.
United Rugby Championship kicks off in September 2021, changing club rugby as we know it. South Africa's 4 elite teams, the Cell C Sharks, DHL Stormers, Vodacom Bulls and Emirates Lions, will join the best of Ireland, Italy, Scotland and Wales to form a 16-team league that will be bigger, bolder and stronger. Teams will play 18 regular season games, 9 at home and 9 away. After 18 games, the top 8 teams will qualify for the quarterfinals, followed by semi-finals and a final to determine who is the best of the best among these 5 powerhouse nations. Pools of 4 will allow each team to complete their home and away derby games. Each team will play 6 of their 18 games against their regional pool rivals. The remaining 12 games will be made from an even number of home or away games against the other teams in the league. Every team will be eligible to qualify for European tournaments, and the regional pools and league table will be used to identify the top 8 teams who make it into the Heineken Champions Cup. Every point won from all 18 games will contribute to a team's standing in their regional pools. The team that tops each pool will automatically qualify for the Champions Cup. Those 4 teams will then be removed from the league table, and the 4 highest-ranked remaining teams will also earn their place in the Champions Cup. The United Rugby Championship. 5 nations, 16 teams, 1 champion.
Some of the commenters have picked up the excellent season that Cardiff Rugby are going to have based on this. It's
Straight
excellent. Well done, Cardiff Rugby. We've got Martin here. Martin Anayi is going to join us to talk about what they've actually put together. Martin, how are you?
Hi guys, yeah, good. How you doing?
Not bad, mate. It's been a big day for you.
It's been a long day. Yeah, it's been a long, but I wouldn't have missed this for the world. So good to see everybody. Yeah, but it's been fun actually. It's sort of a weird one, nervous excitement yesterday. So getting it out there has been good. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's I was saying to Gcobani earlier on, like it's been teased in a number of different ways in different territories, you know, and as the Super Rugby sides, the South African Super Rugby sides left, this was always the thing. Could you pull it off? You're fairly happy, obviously, with what you've got here, but how closely does this match to what your original vision was?
Yeah, I think this is the original vision, actually, thinking about it. 2014-15, I got approached to do the job. And I think even in the very first interview with Gerald Davis, he said, if you were to come in and what would you do with the league, and this was it. So to sort of see it come off, a lot of things have gone our way, I think, actually. How odd that probably the worst disaster to hit the world in my professional sport, COVID, actually threw up the opportunity earlier than it would have otherwise done. So we're very fortunate in one sense that we were open to the opportunity, and even more fortunate that the South African union plus the franchises were quite keen to do it anyway. So it was a bit of a meeting of minds, and we were just able to get it done mainly because I think there was just a sense that the league needed to become better and stronger, and we listened to a lot of the feedback that we were that people were willing to offer us quite often, and we decided to do something about it, and I think today is sort of culmination in that process of improvement.
I'll ask one more question here, then I'll let the lads have a pop. The name, I was interested in the name and how you came up with it, because it's very different from the Pro 14. It's very different from the previous sort of sponsor first names. Why did you go this direction?
Again, sort of when we first looked at Pro 12 as it was then, and then Pro 14, I think my personal opinion is it didn't really. It wouldn't stand the test of time, because we knew that we were on expansionist sort of policy, if you like. We knew that we were going to get bigger, and I always wanted, people around us always thought that 16 teams was the right number because of the format, and we were always, one of the key imperatives was that we would move off the international weekends, and when you worked out the format, where you try to make it as simple as possible, which is the one we've got, home and away against your own derby teams and home or away against everybody else, you ended up with a fixed format and a fixed number of weekends. So we knew we were going to come off 14 as an example. We weren't just adding two teams, because, as you guys know, these are 4 of the best teams in the world. So it felt like a transformative move. And it felt ready, we were ready to make a change to the name to be authentic with that change. And we are pretty unique. We're owned by unions, so it is literally, the unification of these unions and these nations and 16 teams. So it just felt right, United Rugby Championship. And we just also liked it when we shortened it to URC. It felt a bit cooler.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Hey, Matt. Hiya, Matt. How's it going?
Yeah, good.
Look,
Thanks.
As you know, man, I've seen the tournament change in all shapes and sizes. But for me, it just covers all the bases. In terms of fixtures, rivalries. Look at the derbies, the interpool. Sort of finishing standings and little prizes for that one as well. But European qualification, there's a carrot, there's a second opportunity. How was it received by dare I say the home unions, the existing Pro 14, when you first sort of brought the subject?
Yeah, I think and the guys probably even better than I do, but people like Mick Dawson, CEO at Leinster, one might think, well, would he be interested in us bringing in these powerhouse union and powerhouse teams? They were the ones who were championing it the most, Leinster. So it's really interesting, and I think when you drill down into the psyche of a competitive team, they want to be challenged all the time. And the players, when we're taking a lot of feedback from the players and the coaches, one of the main things that they said is less is more, quality over quantity. We hit on something with that, because they said we're all playing too much rugby. We'd rather play in less games of a higher value, and so when we take the pitch, we feel like this actually means something to us. And so by bringing the South African teams in, I think it's set down the challenge, certainly to the Irish teams, who have, as you know, sort of dominated over the last couple of years. And what I love about the people we have around the table within the league is that they were the ones championing it to happen, the people probably have most to lose, inverted commas, are the ones saying, no, we need that to happen. We want to be challenged. We want to be even better. And I think that's testament to the people we've got around the table. It really is. It's sort of that made me feel like we're onto something here.
Yeah, great.
I want to bring in a couple of listener comments or viewer comments. So Adam, you can start putting up a couple in a minute after Paul. You can have a pop here, free shot at Martin.
I'm going to be very careful. I could be sacked on the spot.
Well, by the way, me and Paul have a game of tennis. I've been practicing. So
you won't need this, man. You won't need it.
Background, I'll be all right.
Do you know what? I was going to ask you a very direct question. Who do you think will actually win the first season?
Cardiff, who's in the promo bid.
Yeah, I want to hear this, Martin. I'm waiting for this, Martin.
I reckon the Bulls. The Bulls are just super strong.
I do too.
They've got depth coming out their ears. They've got this incredible squad they put together. When Marcel Coetzee joined them, you think, okay, that is a ridiculous back row. But then, you look at the Sharks, they've recruited heavily. There's a lot happening at the Sharks, which is really interesting around their ownership group. It's just a good place to be around those franchises right now in South Africa. And I think it's a feel-good factor where they think, do you know what, we can bring some of the talent that's overseas. I think there's 22 players, I got told earlier, from South African Springbok squad who are playing overseas at the moment that Razzie's called on.
Really?
So I think if they can get half of those home, they'll be really happy. That's probably the right blend, and then keep 10 to 11 overseas, and that's the sort of blend that Razzie and the guys want. They want players playing in different environments. In France and England is a good secondary environment for people to grow in. So I think they encourage that, but they also probably want half of those back into the domestic franchises. So I think they'll all get stronger. Like, what I love about South African rugby is you have 4 genuine franchises that every year, if one falls down, another one comes up, and 1 year the Bulls might not be strong and the Lions are super strong for 2 years, then the Lions maybe aren't so strong, so then the Bulls come back and they're strong. And that, you probably, when you asked me earlier around what are the challenges internally of bringing the teams in, one of the things that Celtic unions perhaps said is, will we still qualify for Europe? So I think they can sense that these teams are going to be very, very competitive, and no doubt that they'll add to the competition. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely.
So Martin, how important has it been, just the South African market and what it brings to this sort of United Rugby Championship of the European and the chances and possibilities within that?
Yeah, actually, I've said this earlier today, which is when I grew up watching rugby, I was watching South African rugby. When I travel down the road here, I live in southeast of England, south of London, and there are more Sharks and Stormers stickers on backs of cars than Saracens and Quins stickers. They are genuine world brands of rugby. And when you sort of delve into Supersport, who have professionalized the game and been so important with standards in production and media, when you speak to people like Vodacom, who have basically been a partner, as you know, of South African rugby for countless years, it's a pretty amazing environment, because I suppose commercial in Europe tends to be very transactional. We'll do a deal with a broadcaster for 2 to 3 years, 4 years, and then you might move to another broadcast. In South Africa, Supersport have been there from the beginning, and they are very much a partner of South African rugby in the franchise. In fact, they are actually a partner of the Cheetahs. They're an owner of the Cheetahs, and they're owner of the Sharks. So I think that's the thing that I've just got to know over the last few years, is how supportive the South African commercial market is of rugby, and how much they wanted this move as much as anybody else. So it's a big thing for our league and our business, but I get the sense that actually it was something that the South African market was pushing for a long time.
Yeah.
We've got some plenty of questions here. Fiona's a Galway laddie. How long will the pool stay before it gets reviewed?
So if you and you've seen the explainer video, so the pools are sort of constructions in a sense, and that they are there predominantly for two reasons. One, who's playing home and away, and that's the sort of derby games. The slight oddity, I suppose, is Scotland and Italy, because there's only two teams in each, so they're in one pool and they'll play each other home and away. The other part of it is, for at least 2 years, the top team in that would then get a place within the Champions Cup. Now that construction, if you like, is mainly because the cup, and that's how we see it, it's league and cup, has always been quite different to the league in that it's trying to get a broader representation, and that's the quality of the Heineken Champions Cup. Is and that's very much from the French and English side. Also, they don't want to not play against the Scots or the Welsh or the Italians in the Champions Cup. So I think it was sort of trying to marry those two things in have a broad representation, but still have meritocracy. We will review it after 2 years and just see how we're getting on.
Wicked.
Okay, next up, Dean Purcell. How will the venue for the final be chosen every year? Will it be randomly chosen from one of the 6 countries? I presume they'll bid for it. Or will it depend on where the teams finish in the regular season? And before you answer that, the producer would like to inform you that warm weather destinations with beaches nearby would be excellent.
It lends itself to under the sticks.
Yeah, we know you were game Redmond.
Yeah. No, he's very vocal, actually, that Redmond. And no, like all of us, we're desperately pushing for a Cape Town final. So it's the Brucey bonus that you get when you bring the South African teams in.
Yeah.
You get locations like they've got. I mean, and this sounds very corny, but I think it's a massive weekend this weekend coming up. In Treviso, we've never had a final in Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, so they've been in the competition since 2011. So, this is a big win, and to have Benetton in the final and Treviso is just, So I think, taking it to new territories is what we're all about. It isn't about the money in terms of the final. It's about kind of making sure that we tell a story that no other league can do, and that's taking our final around to the different territories.
Okay, so this means that it will be a destination final as opposed to
yeah.
Right, next up from the comment section. Hold on, what do we got? Because otherwise I'm going to put a question on my own, and Adam doesn't want that. I tell you that. I'll put one. There's questions here about the streaming service. Yeah, there we go. Fiona's a Galway laddie. Can you tell us about the subscription service? So just for people who haven't read some of the stuff today, there's going to be free to air in the various territories. There's going to be pay TV premium stuff, but you also talk about an over-the-top subscription service, and there's a lot of people in the comment section interested in that.
Yeah, that's a bit. Well, I think those 3 areas that you mentioned, both free to air, pay, and subscription, I think that sort of sums it up. I don't think there's any other way of putting broadcast out there. But we wanted to have a better blend, I think, of how we're showcasing the tournament. And because you've got 151 games, you're just not going to have any broadcaster other than a paid broadcaster being able to put all of those games on. Premier have done an incredible job. So, I mean, that to me is just at the price point is an exceptional quality and an exceptional sort of package if you're trying to follow your game come what may. But that tends to be quite a hardcore audience. And what we need to do as a collective and as a sport is to introduce new fans to the sport all the time. And you can do that through free to air, or you can do that through social media. And we've been lucky enough to get interest from the free to air broadcasters in UK and Ireland. But that OTT service, which is something that I think all professional sports will have to go down in the future, is future-proofing us literally. You know, we're not even looking at this for next year. We are going to launch it next season, but this is something that's in our minds for 10 years' time. You know, and that is because broadcasters can come and go, like sponsors can, and broadcasters can come and go in sport. And so, where we are funding the vast majority of the sport that we if we're looking after, if you like, and we're guardians of, if that number goes down and it's 80% of our revenue, people lose their jobs. And that's, you know, that's pressure. And so when you're thinking about it over a 10-year period, you've got to say what you really should be having is the ability to go and sell that product, which people love, directly to that consumer. That is a big task. That is a complete change in emphasis. You're moving from being a league organizer who are selling media rights every 4 years to selling media rights every day. Yes. And that is a completely different sort of experience and expertise that you need. And that is a consumer business. We aren't a consumer business, so we need to learn that. And our way of doing that is to partner with a broadcaster who already does it, and that's why we're so excited, because we're just going to learn as much as we can out of that process. And then we always use the example of a Scarlets fan in Abu Dhabi. I don't know why. Maybe hopefully there are a few there.
Gears Head 1011. I'm an Irishman living in France. Will it be geo-locked if there's a subscription service?
So actually, the way we want to do it, and this is I'm going to eat my words, Your Honour. The way that we want to do it is where we, for example, and actually the market where I'm probably closest to is the US market. Where we would love to work is have a linear broadcast of 10 to 15 games a year, and we would serve 151 games a year sitting alongside that. And if you know the NFL, that's effectively what Game Pass does in the UK. That to me is a perfect model, because if I'm a casual fan of the NFL in the UK, I watch it on BBC, I migrate to Sky, I get told these are the best games of the week, so I watch them. Then I'm a Packers fan and I want to watch every game, so I watch it on Game Pass. And that is something that I think rugby should learn a quick lesson from.
I want to continue that thread, because it was really interesting reading. There was a piece in the Financial Times today about this launch, and it's one of the things, you know, with their audience, they're talking to much broader. And they were saying, look, will the United Rugby Championship be able to grow the viewers? Because actually in rugby, as opposed to football, the national game is where it's at, and test teams, and having that free-to-air access for the tournament could be huge, and just drawing in the casual fan that maybe we've just been missing for a couple of years, you know.
I'm a big believer in, again, if you guys follow rugby league at all, rugby league, NRL, and you know, is now a $400 million business. About 10 years ago, it was a $100 million business. And they were just very, very clear about what they were doing. Rugby league is different to rugby union, I get that, but they were very, very clear about saying this is the best product you can watch. And in fact, in the 60s and 70s, they were really, really struggling rugby league in Australia. And what they came up with was a new concept. It was called State of Origin. That was just a brand new thing that they came up with and said, we're going to play Maroons versus Blues, and we're going to go at it, and this is going to sit alongside. And it shouldn't work if you think about it. It shouldn't work. It is the highest viewed TV show in Australia. That's a club game. If I look at now and I say, what's Leinster-Munster at full Aviva Stadium, you put that on terrestrial TV, you will get a big, big audience. And so it's about creating tent poles, we call it. And Six Nations is so good at that, right? Because they're on free to air. It's for a relatively short period of time, and you get a quick buzz into it, and you get this massive viewership, 8 million people watching it. What we need to do as a club game is harness that, because people are watching rugby, harness it and bring them into the club game. And the best way of doing that is talking to those same people in a similar format as free to air. Then once we get them as a proper fan of Leinster, or let's just say a club, let's say Glasgow Warriors, then they can start moving into, let's go and buy a season ticket, let's go and see them play. And that's a journey. we have to help that journey along. It's not going to do it on its own 2 feet. It'll be very, very incremental. And
This is great. It's like talking to Stringer Bell at economics in lesson in The Wire.
It's really interesting.
Give them the first tip for free. If you want some more, come talk to me. We'll have a discussion.
Absolutely.
I've never watched The Wire, so
Stringer Bell.
Sorry, we're gonna have words.
I'm into my box set, so I've got to convince my missus that it's a good idea. But
Harley Worthy, big question. Will we be getting more watch-alongs?
More watch-alongs. That is a big. I do enjoy those. I have to say, yeah, I do enjoy those. We might have to convince a few people, but yes, I like those. So
Adam, all I heard was yes.
I'm me.
I'm clipping that.
I can't believe Redmond put that one on the screen.
No.
I actually learned quite a lot from those because I listened to Sean.
Oh, look at his head swelling now. Look at this.
But to be fair, you guys haven't won our league, right? So
That's right.
Sure.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, haven't won anything. There's pretty we can squeeze in. I'd say one more. I'd say Dean Purcell. This is a good one. Considering there are fewer games and in general more competitive games due to less crossovers, that's crossovers with the test weekends, will consideration be given to sort of a B or reserve team tournament to grow youth players and squad depth?
Yeah. I think probably one of the main parts of removing games from. I'm hope you forgive me for quoting him here, but. This is Stuart Lancaster said this to me. He said, what you have, and this was not seen necessarily as a positive commercially, but he said, when you were a Pro 12, Pro 14, you had this exceptional tournament for high performance, because what happens is you get a kid out of Leinster Academy, then he goes into the Leinster first team, and he plays against certain teams when internationals are away. Then he's pretty good. So then he said, okay, yeah, keep him in. So the internationals come back in derby games or come back in for big games when they're allowed to. He does pretty well in that. Then he goes and plays a Champions Cup game. They think, he's done pretty well in that. And he goes and makes the Irish team. And that happened with 2 or 3 players in one season where they did that in 6 months or 9 months period of time. And it's almost unheard of that. And he said, but that was also a negative, right? Because then you had games in your league which were not as high value or not as highly competitive. It was just amazing. It was amazing progression curve up for the player. So you don't want to lose that. And so what we need to do is plug that gap. And that gap is genuinely an A-team league. And if we can come up with a better way of doing it where you have 8 to 10 games a year of still very good quality, and perhaps even against the English teams, for example, that actually might fit the bill, because then you still get this incredible progression curve that you've got players and you can take them through, and it won't then have an effect commercially on the league. So that's always been in our thinking.
I think Saracens are very interested in an A championship at the moment. I'm just going to leave that one there. Rugby AP, do you plan to embrace social media content creators to help market your product and grow your fan base? That's an interesting question, because there's that crosses right over your rights, your TV rights, your over-the-top rights. There's a lot of interest in this at the moment.
Yeah, actually, Adam is doing this with me right now. We are the last throws of the TV contracts are actually down to what rights we reserve and hold back, and it's for this. It's for us to change in mindset, and probably the best content creators or best people who can tell a story that people gravitate towards is players. What players don't have yet is the ability to, in 4 clicks, get content of the game they've just been playing in that shows them in a great light, scoring a try, making a tackle, whatever it is, and posting it onto their Instagram. That happens in the NFL and the NBA by design, because the NBA and the NFL know that when player X, Y, or Z tweets or Instagram the picture of himself playing, that goes way further than the NFL's account does, and way further than one of the teams does. Now we haven't learned that lesson yet in rugby, and that's what's quite exciting about the next phase of growth, is if we can harness the players with their permission, obviously, and we give them the tools, they're going to tell a story that we've never even heard of yet in the club game. And that's what makes me so excited about the next phase of this, is how do we arm them with the tools for them to go and tell the story about the league? Because in the end, the only reason we're doing this is to pump money back into the clubs, and the clubs are pumping that back into the players, and it becomes a sort of self-fulfilling thing. And we want to create a platform where the players are proud to be in our league, and they want to be in our league, and they see it as their league. And we've got a bit of a way to go on that. But if we start the journey, and content's so important in that, their own content. It's not, we don't own it. It's them playing the game of rugby, and they should be able to show that picture and so on. Now, all of that has to be in the context of people who pay a lot of money, which sustains the whole thing, and that is reserve rights. That is how you carve out those rights in broadcast contracts, and they're becoming even more and more valuable by the day.
Yeah, that's the art. We're going to let you go in a sec, but there are a lot of people interested in content like Garant does in Wales, and Squid Rugby does, and it's a really tricky business because
that's how I learn about rugby. Yeah. Because I don't have enough time to sit down and watch lots of games, so I end up watching Squidge. I end up watching Garant, because I learn stuff because he's coaching all the time, and how fast I played. Last time I played a game of rugby was a long time ago. So how fast it's progressed from that point to now is unbelievable. And it's very hard to keep up. And I want to keep up. And I get that through their content. So, that's why we were trying to serve those guys with access rights so that they can keep putting that content out there.
Okay, good stuff. We could go on, but we won't, because you've given us some time. Thank you. Martin Anayi, you get fed. Get fit. Enjoy Treviso. We're going to talk about that later on. And I look forward to our many watch-alongs and many South African trips as a podcast crew. Isn't that right?
I'm with you guys. I'm with you. I was trying to leave South Africa. That's my goal number one. But once I do that, I'll bring you with me. I promise.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, Martin. Thanks very much.
All right.
Cheers, Martin.
We have plenty of other questions in. Adam is scooping them up in the background, and we'll try to provide answers to those. Okay, so I hope that served a purpose for you, because I know when I first saw the format, Gcobani, it took me a few goes to actually work out. Okay, this is how this thing is working. This is why they're doing it. It's kind. It's interesting.
We've been through it. I mean, it's the expansion that became with the Super Rugby 18 and Super Rugby 16 when it became started to be zonal sort of franchise competition, where it was original winner and sort of different franchisees and like that. So with the Argentines, the Pumas joining the South African franchise, and then the winner of that made it to the playoffs. So I think the South Africans are familiar to the group thing, which made derby games more physical and more contested, and it just became very difficult for South African teams. I think the New Zealanders most of the time felt that they were cancelling each other out for that, because they had the better sort of quality within the franchise competition. So it's something that has to be looked at. I mean, what if you could have all three Irish teams be making it up to the top 8?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. We've got 2 years of a bit of a rattle of this, and we'll fire in some more questions here as we go. LB the Safa, you asked a couple of times about highlights. Actually, look back to, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We covered a bit of that, because do you know what? Genuinely, it's something which we do note, and it should be better. Okay, so that's what we're looking forward to see with the new competition as well. I want to throw in something for the comment section, because one thing that no one's mentioned so far is that there's going to be a trophy for each one of those pools every year. And I don't know what those trophies will look like, and I really want the commenters to tell us what they think the trophy should be.
Oh my God.
So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Now we're asking for problems.
Yeah, I think we will. Let's
Artistry.
keep throwing in the comments around the questions about the championship. We'll doubtless come back to them later on, but we do need to talk about some rugby that happened over the weekend. We didn't have all the games we thought we would because this is a COVID season and COVID happened.
Yeah.
We lost Stormers Lions due to COVID. We lost Ospreys Benetton really annoyingly due to COVID.
Yeah.
Sean, I know we were looking forward to that weekend with but what went on in Ospreys?
They had COVID.
Game over.
Simple as that.
No, unfortunately, they're tested all the time, aren't they? And if somebody has some symptoms and they get tested, then, with Benetton potentially going into the final, it's obviously too much of a risk, isn't it? Unfortunately, how it's construed is the Ospreys blew it the week before in Connacht. That could have been a showcase game. It could have been a winner-takes-all situation, or it could have done Munster a favour or Leinster, and that's unfortunate. That's just the world we're living in at the moment. However, it is what it is. I say that a lot to Welsh rugby fans. It is what it is, right? Benetton are unbeaten. It's not their fault. They're in the final. Good luck to them. That's what I say.
Totally. And also, they beat Connacht's first team and hammered Glasgow. So it's not like they played Zebra 5 times in a row. They had a couple of tidy wins, didn't they?
Yeah, but your average supporter is going to say, well, all right, they played Zebra twice. They played 2 more home games and got 1 cancelled. Well. But they're in the final. It is what it is.
They can only play what's in front of them.
Exactly.
The Rainbow Cup was look, it's a competition that could only have happened because COVID happened. Was it perfect? No. Did we get the chance to trial a few things? Yes. Have we watched some decent rugby? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We did get the we're going to run the highlights of the Sharks Bulls, but we'll just quickly patter through the Friday night games that were Zebra 11, Munster 54, the Coombs show.
The Coombs and Casey show. I think they should be listed together.
Paul, you haven't. It's 43 minutes in, and we've yet to hear about your column. Here it comes.
Mention it right now. I've written about Coombs and Casey. They were amazing. I mean, just to have those two, at the base of the scrum, you don't know what's going to happen. You're either getting steamrolled by a 6'6", very athletic freak show, or his little sidekick at 5'5", who's like a little mosquito who fell asleep in Red Bull. You don't know what's going to happen there. It's fantastic. I love watching them. I think they'll be, well, he might have to move Coombs to 6 because, of course, they've got a lot of options in Ireland at 8. But, Casey, amazing. What a performance from both of them.
Yeah, it was only going one way after a short amount of time, and it is unfortunate. I was really looking forward to that game because there could have been a bit of a run trace on for the tries, but once we knew that the Benetton game they'd been awarded the points, it wasn't to be, and that's what we're dealing with this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Coombs, hell of a performance. We'll move on. Leinster 38, Dragons 7, 1,200 fans on the ground, which is very notable for an Irish sporting event. We'll show Ryan Bard's try because Stephen Sheridan's already talked about it. I presume I made it into your column, Paul?
Yeah, it did. It's so weird when you show it. I've watched it about 10 times this weekend already.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Gcobani, we're not used to seeing locks do things like this. Maybe you see it in Super Rugby a bit more.
You don't.
What do you reckon?
No one does that. Turning around in a circle in the middle of the field.
It's a best way. It's a best way to just keep the ball and stay alive, right? You just don't get away from getting tackled and keep that ball alive. I just love the footwork and just the understanding and just the cerebral sort of skill set to just find people around them. It's brilliant to see locks playing like a dynamic lock, and it's more than rugby. It's something we started getting used to in South Africa from all these gifted players that we've been blessed with. But this is perfect. This is how you buy time and just look at this timing of the pass and just backing it up again. I mean, I love rugby like this. Express yourself. Come on, let it go.
Gcobani, you should know that this guy is now, an Ireland international. He's been highly rated and talked about. But even though we are an entertainment podcast with half-baked opinions, we highlighted Ryan Bird way back, didn't we?
Did. Long time ago.
Sean, I mean,
We
this is good quality. I mean, it's just been a standing of how much you're supposed to possess nowadays. It's no longer just the brute. And that's the kind of game that the game is going to, where you can sell it to the skill level factor too.
Yeah, there's good players like Ryan Bird. Another one we've talked a lot about, Scott Penny, and another big game. Ridiculous amount of tackles, contributions. Average 7 meters a carry. Jordan Lama statistics on the weekend was something. This is why the United Rugby Championship is whetting the appetite, because your Jordan Lamas, Hugo Keenans, Ryan Birds, Pennies, along with all the big boys. I don't care who you are, they're going to give you a hell of a game at the RDS. They'd be favourites in my book, right?
Yeah.
Even against the Bulls, in my book, the fully blown Leinster with the bench they can pack. And I'll just read you Jordan Lama, 16 carries at an average of 9.5 meters a carry. He beat 8 defenders, grabbed a couple of tries. This guy's electric, and he's not really first choice for Ireland. He is sort of, but he's not an absolute regular. And they've got him coming through the woodwork. So it's really exciting. It was good to see Leinster back. For me.
Yeah. Can we give one little mention to Tane Basham, who played really well when he came on in that game? I think he came on after 22 minutes, but I think he was nearly second top carry for the Dragons, 13 carries. He played really well. He was almost like Dragons' sort of Scott Penny. He's quite similar in stature, actually, aren't they? They're quite sort of stocky and athletic. And so, I thought he was really good, even in defeat.
Comment here for Paul. Arthur Daly, 1262. Bird is an incredible athlete. Itoje is not near him.
Oh, is that aimed at me? Because I love Maro Itoje. I tell you what, Itoje is a really good athlete as well. Itoje, but Bird is almost like a sort of like Kiwi 6 lock hybrid. He's like Steph Dutois, isn't he? He's got that. They've got the footwork and a bit of weight and a bit of brain, and they can handle. They're mold breakers, aren't they? Really. Whereas Itoje is a very athletic lock. He's. I love them both.
Jason Vessels. One thing is scrum time. How do you think you guys will fare?
Absolutely no problem. I'm telling you now, absolutely no problem. No, zero problem at all. I watched all these games, every minute of them. You know me, I'm watching the scrums.
Yeah.
Now, the Bulls did a job on the Sharks, right? But they did. But I was looking at very closely. Morning Smith, right? Tight dead, got very long. He got lucky. He won a couple of early ones, but then his feet were so far away from his shoulders, right? He'd get murdered by an Andrew Porter or a Cian Healy. Or a Dave Kilcoyne or a Nicky Smith. He would. I'm telling you now, he would. What they've got, they've got big scrummaging hookers.
Massive.
They had that. That's the advantage. People underestimate the role of a hooker in the scrum, and of course they've got big locks who had a lot of weight and leg drive. So that's where I think we'll be fine. But again,
Albie the Safa interjects. Love the confidence, but us scum you into the ground.
This is great, because now we are months away from this happening. We're going to have all this now. And of course, we've got a precursor where we got the British and Irish Lions against the South Africans, which, again, that's what I was going to ask the Martin. The timing, it's perfect timing, isn't it? To whet the appetite of the South African fans. And now our fans. It's great.
Yeah, I think the Stormers and Bulls are the big scrummagers down there, aren't they? I mean, the Sharks, I've seen them get nudged around a couple of times, but the Bulls are although weirdly, I was looking at the pack weights, and they're surprisingly light. In our heads, we stereotype Bok packs and we all think they're 900 kilograms. They're not. A lot of the pack weights I've seen, they're like 850, 860. I think the Lions put a pack out. No, it's just maybe the Lions put a pack out about 820 one week, which is really light, even for club rugby. So,
I want some truth here from Gcobani.
No, that's true. But they haven't.
The Lions,
sorry.
It's the same Lions team that has lost the Malcolm Marks of the world, the Mostards, the Titans, the Dreyers, and most of the other players who have gone to bigger clubs, right? So it's been a young team. I mean, you think about the 850 kilogram scrumming of those are juniors of under 20s and under 21s. These are the players of the future. But it is true to what Sean is talking about. I mean, players are going to get schooled. Even the conditions are not the same. I mean, with the wet ground fields, we saw how the Cheetahs struggled. The King struggled when it came down to those wet weather conditions. I mean, Monefissa is still a young scrummer, a scrummager in the fact that is a tight head. He just played under 21s last season. And now he's finally finding his way. Yes, he was up against a pretty inexperienced player at that level. There was a bit of a debacle before the game with the resting of the Springboks, Thomas du Toit, and not having Oxen Chair to sort of front up at the start of that game. I mean, you saw how burnt out Mona when he was replaced and loose-headed about the 70th minute. I mean, it was up to the coaches. They would have let him hung out there and hung out to dry. And it's just the ferocity that the Bulls team sort of played with. And it was interesting because it just showed their own DNA. I think they're starting to believe now the hype and in terms of how hard they work for each other. A very impressive win away from home.
Yes.
Harley Worthy, Paul, we keep telling you South Africa had one of the lightest Tier 1 packs of the 2019 Rugby World Cup.
But that stereotype still persists, doesn't it? Everyone
you were the one stereotyping it.
Right, I am the one who keeps perpetuating that stereotype. That's fine. But I'm now disproving my own bias.
LB the Safa, scrum is all technique and the knowledge of the dark arts. Winking smiley face. Kieran O'Callaghan, power is nothing without technique. Remember Tom Smith and Paul Wallace. I've been reading a lot about Tom Smith and Paul Wallace. We might try and get some.
Thing is, that's all very well until you come up against Malherbe, and then you're basically scrummaging against like a land mammal, like a rhino. You know, what are you going to do? Massive.
I'm going to give this a shot. Kanakuinen. From Finland, I presume. The big issue for me with Safa sides years ago was the dreadful attendances when the other teams came to play. What can be done to draw fans of the new Safa sides? Right. Hold on. I'm actually just reading through the comment section. This is great. LB the Safa, our stadiums only look empty, but the average attendance was like 20,000 people. Our stadiums hold 40,000 minimum, not like the small stadiums in Europe, which hold like 20,000 max. That is a fair comment. We prefer tighter grounds in the club game. Gcobani, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, with South African rugby, especially with those with those 4 franchises, they inherited the World Cup stadiums which were built in 2010. And those are 50 grand massive stadiums, and you're right in the fact that we still found it difficult to fill them because. With so much sports right now being shown with all the broadcasting sort of rights to everything, so you can sit at the comfort of your home and have all that variety of what to watch, which is taken away from the experience of going to a stadium where 100,000 people. I mean, can you imagine that first test at the FNB Stadium, at the soccer stadium in Soweto, if the fans were allowed 100,000 fans watching a British-Irish Lions Springbok test match? And that's what you're talking about. And that's a sort of opportunity, I guess, the United Rugby Championship sort of gives, because you could have a final of 100,000 in Soweto, just in the beautiful weather. I mean, probably going to bring out the vuvuzelas from the 2010 and all of that sound and noise and cacophony into the stadium. So it could be a different buzz. So that is... It is true. Our stadiums are massive. I think the fans are missing it now. I think the fans will be willing to come out and actually just get out there and get that feel of having to be there supporting your team. And just, I think anyone will come and support if it was any side in South Africa that's playing. It doesn't matter, because most of the people sort of spread out on how they support their franchises. So you probably find more Stormers fans in Johannesburg.
Right.
We look forward to seeing how fans fill stadiums again, because right now we don't have that problem.
Beautiful.
So, you know,
No.
I'm going to skip ahead. We're going to go to the Scarlets and Edinburgh. They played a 28-all draw. It was turned very tight, and that shouldn't have been so tight. 28-14 to Scarlets with 3.5 minutes to go. Paul, what happened?
Well, Edinburgh just played till the end of the game, and the Scarlets didn't. It's as simple as that. I mean, I think I was counting on the clock at 79 minutes. Edinburgh were about 5 meters from their own post and going backwards, like flinging the ball around like a hot pasty. No one wanted it. They were going nowhere. And then they just got a quick penalty, bang into the corner, line out. There was a line break from Aroni Sow, who I thought played really well considering he hasn't got a contract. I'd be amazed if he isn't picked up. And they scored 14 points in like 3.5 minutes. It was incredible. It was, literally play to the end of the match, to the end of the season, and they really did. The Scarlets, they'd be really kicking themselves.
To their credit, Edinburgh have done that the second half of the season. Ulster with the controversial Captain's Challenge.
Yeah.
Dragons at the Principality Stadium. You know, they do play, you know, right to the end. It's just the front bit they're getting wrong.
It's just the first 20. The Scarlets looked really shell-shocked, you know. And I think what was really clever from Edinburgh is they scored that final try under the post, and it looked quite deliberate. You know, it looked like, let's get near and see if we can get the draw, because if they'd have stuck that in the corner, then it's a very different situation. So it was
a couple of plus points for the Scarlets. Young Tom Rogers been picked in the Welsh squad, player of the match, got a try, you know, had a good game. Kieran Hardy, the incumbent, the 9, will play for Wales now in the summer. 2 tries, good performance again. So, I think there's going to be a little bit of rebuilding going on at the Scarlets. I think they're going to have to bring some of their young talent through, and that'll be good. It'll be good for them.
But in the same way you were saying about Ryan Bed, Sean's been talking up Tom Rogers for ages too, to be fair, haven't you? Yeah. At least 18 months.
I just did it again.
but he was a surprise inclusion in the Welsh squad for a lot of people, but Sean was on the money there.
We've kept his weight long enough. Sharks and Bulls.
What a game.
I was so worried we wouldn't get this, right? But we did get it. A decent game. Chelsea Sharks 22, Vodacom Bulls 34. And the main thing was they got that 4th try. But this was an enjoyable watching. There was some real good pieces of work here. Actually, this try here, I thought was a great piece of refereeing, because you back yourself, you turn around. What have I seen? Have you seen what I've seen? I'm giving this try.
Yeah,
Gcobani, I like that.
Yeah, getting on with it and just concise and just precise. It is good, even positional play from the AR there, just to be helpful into that space.
And then Cornell Hendricks.
Look how fast he still is.
Oh, look at him running away like a Springbok winger. So it was good to see that he still had the pace, and it's no slouch of Kevin Bosch. Has been one of the quickest players. I mean, he can run at fullback too. So good work from Cornell Hendricks, really rolling back the years at 32.
I mean, that was a good 65 odd meters. It was not a small sprint.
No, not a small at all.
What are they doing here?
That was loose. I mean, Morris Lowe could have thrown that ball anywhere besides the hands.
I thought it was an England team for a minute.
Adam, we need you to pause. We need you to pause it right here, because when you see where he leaves the ball for the opposition, you don't. He doesn't do anything but just leave it there for the quick tap.
But again, it's schoolboy stuff, isn't it? Who's that? Buthelezi 8? He turns his back, and then he can do this.
Well, there's Lukanyuam looks. He was almost like in slow motion, and then Vercock, his little step in. You'll see when we get the opposite angle or the goal line angle.
Little touch on the floor. They had a little hug on the floor after that. It was really cool.
There was good looking art. I mean, I think Sia tweeted that it's good to be tackled by Uncle Modestine.
Yeah.
which is
He gives
just
him
the
like a
respect
little-
that they
little
have for
catch
each
on the
other.
floor.
Oh, here we go. Watch this.
Oh, the touch. No.
Yeah,
No,
Sean's
come
not
on,
gonna be
ref.
doing
It was
that.
still 2 hands. It was 2 hands, ref.
Look at this.
It's the
That's below
13.
the
It is.
shoulders.
Look, what is the 13 doing? You know, when you watch it in slow motion and you number up, it's his man. But both of them, it's just like touch.
Yeah.
And
but
the,
Here we go.
I don't
Pause
think
it there.
set by
1, 2.
great set by the Bulls because they know Cohen Bosch is defending there. He's not the strongest or bravest man to make that tackle, and they ran into his channel, and he had to make that adjusting tackle there, and he had to really put his body on the line, but he didn't.
Yeah, they move him a little bit in defence, don't they? Sometimes, Bosch.
He hasn't been seen as the strongest or the most bravest tackler in South Africa. So most teams target his channel. Just
so this was the
knowledge of
moment.
side.
This was the moment where anyone watching the game knew that we now had a Benetton Bulls final. That bonus point came in, but still, Sharks kept going. 2 Bulls in the bin, and it was actually I thought Vernicock had a really nice game. Like he's involved all over the place, and there's some beautiful hands here, to put the man in the corner. Just class.
No, look.
Positive finish.
See, some of this Sharks back play is going to light up the league.
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's beautiful.
Because what they've shown in this Rainbow Cup is they will enter into a game. You know, they play to the end and they will score tries. So I mean, can you imagine Connaught against the Sharks?
In
it
the
would be an
drum.
absolute. It would be like Sugar Ray Leonard against Thomas Hearns. It'll be punches thrown from start to finish rapidly. You know what I mean?
8 tries each.
Oh.
Yeah.
For the younger viewers and listeners, they were boxers from the olden days.
Yeah. Do you know I know they lost, but the Sharks back row were really good. But let me get the pronunciation correct now. Buthelezi. Have we got the break? Here it is. Look at this. I mean, that's nearly coast to coast for number 8.
Yeah, like he popped up all over the field today doing ridiculous stuff. Gcobani, give us a bit of history on Buthelezi.
Buthelezi has been one of the star players, a schoolboy hero, played in Durban High School, captained the Craven Week side with one of the junior provincial teams, captained the junior Springboks, touted to be one of the star players, stayed in the Union since 2014, 2017, ACS Schools, 2018, Junior Box. He's one of those players who's really started to find his footing at this high level. I thought the first game against the Bulls where they got blown away, he's the only player who showed so much fight. It was a fight in the tackle, the way that he had stopping power. I mean, it was not just tackling players. It was Dwayne Vermeulen. It was Marcel Couture. For a 22-year-old to step up physically and really not give him the inches, that showed that I think it started giving him the belief that he could take that to his attack, because he started carrying with more positivity in this game. And he's a robust player, good skill set, good pace. A player, I think, really showed up what he can do at this level. They just needed now that tight 5 to really front up, because it's always difficult for a loose forward to sort of perform because you're going backwards. But he was giving them go forward. I think Sean Everett, the coach, would be very, very encouraged with his performance.
He's brilliant.
LB the Safa. Every week, Sean hates on our defence. Watch us have the best defensive records in the URC, just to show it is definitely gonna happen. It's guaranteed. Arthur Daly, 1262. Sean, Sharks defence has been their issue, and this is the reason. This is their season called late of defence.
Thanks, LB. Is it LB Safa? Was it LB the Safa? I hope we're doing under the sticks now. During the URC, because all of these things we're speculating a little bit. I've got a coach's eye and I'm seeing it and I'm picking out things, and I'm sure Gcobani agrees with some of the things that when he's had coaches coaching him, is that Well, the attack with the South African side, they've got gifted athletes, right? And they're going to cause us problems. However, we are more defensively minded, I would say, in our club rugby. There's a lot of defensive sessions and organisation and detail. But conversely, with our attack, we've got some wily old guys who will try and break those sort of mismatches in defence down. You can't make that off first phase, that error the Sharks did there, because they will analyse it and they'll pick it out and they'll probe that. Imagine a Leinster. They will break those areas down. So it'd be really interesting to see LB if that's the case. I hope it will be, because certainly, they're going to need to be when they come away from home. It's going to be huge challenges. Let's hope there's 20,000 in Thomond Park when the Sharks come to Limerick. When you go to the Kingspan and there's 17,000, 18,000 begging for blood, and they keep coming and coming and coming. And conversely, when our boys go down there, and they're on faster grounds, they're dealing with all these athletes, and it's going to be fast and hard, but we are speculating at the moment. And let's not take Saturday's final as that's what it's going to be all next season. I think it's going to be a bit different at the start of next season.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can see some bruised egos though when it kicks off, because there will be a couple of thumpings handed out, vice versa. Right, yeah. Leinster will give someone in South Africa a couple of thumpings. Munster probably will, and then vice versa. The Bulls are gonna murder somebody in the top four with their platform. Like like a 40-0 job, and you'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah, catching a Bulls team that's marauding at high felt at about 32 degrees and a try. It could be. It's almost like trying to breathe with a straw and some difficult times. It could be very feisty, and then in the cold Limerick situation where just your pack is on roller skates, a very interesting times lie ahead.
Be amazing.
It's going to be an interesting mystery guest incoming. Okay. I'm completely up for this. So I don't know when it's incoming, so I'm just going to keep talking. The Rainbow Cup final is this Saturday. It's Benetton against the Bulls. It's kicking off at 5:30. That's UK time, and that's 6:30 local Italian time. I think we should. I think there is a way to do this properly. I think the way to have this final properly is to choose, if you are having pizza during the game, or if you are having something like boerewors sausage or something like this, and you just get the braai on, and you send photos out to the Under the Sticks Twitter account of which side you were on this weekend. It's the only way. I'm not sure when the next guest is coming, so I'll still go.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw up the. Can we throw the tables, Adam? Throw the tables. That'd be good in a minute.
He's plugging in the mystery guest.
I think he is.
Oh, hang on. Here he is.
No way.
It's Buddy.
No way, Buddy.
Dean Bud. How are you, man?
I'm well, thank you, team.
Oh, good to see
very
you,
smart there.
I'm just skiving off from work. Adam's just sent me a message saying, am I free? And any excuse to tip out from work.
This is great. So we got Dean Bud's session of truth live on the pod.
Oh God!
We're talking about South African teams now, and obviously,
the weekend.
We want to get the inside track for the Rainbow Cup final from you.
Oh, well, I have been speaking to the boys a little bit, and they're pretty confident about it. I think it's going to be. Yeah, it's a real. There's always been a little bit of fear with the boys of the unknown, and so to come up against the Bulls, I think they've probably putting them up and seen them with some kind of rose tinted glasses, I'd imagine for the moment. But I think that'll wear off pretty quickly, and they'll be straight into it.
I'm still stunned that Dino's here and wearing an actual an iron shirt with a collar. It's incredible.
He looks all grown up.
He does look really grown up. That's what I was thinking now.
What's the general chat like? Because we had Kieran Crowley on the pod very recently, and it seems as if they really kicked on suddenly. Like they had a lot of bad luck for a long time, and then suddenly things kicked into gear against Glasgow and everything turned around.
Yeah, that's all we ever needed as a team is a bit of momentum the Italian way. Kind of once you get one, you understand you can do it, and then it's all seems a lot easier from there. So I think that's what they needed. That kind of little reset in between championships just gave them that little break they needed. Or obviously, can't undermine the fact that they were missing the Italian, probably 15 blokes with the Italian team most of the season. So I think they've come back and made their presence felt.
How's it at home, mate?
I was speaking with Nasi Manu actually this morning, and I was saying in a weird way, I kind of just miss being in the showers with the boys. It's not. It wasn't from an angle of missing seeing their private parts, but just that kind of
camaraderie.
Office, that office life. There's no arse slapping going around the office. That's for sure. So,
in the showers with the boys. Very good.
Yeah. It's damn nice. I mean, living a normal life, COVID free. I've become accustomed to it now. I've very much forgotten what it was like 6 months ago over in the UK.
Yeah. Have you been watching the Trans-Tasman? Who's going to win the final? Your boys are in it.
I've got to go for the Blues, don't I? Yeah. We were. I've never tuned. I don't think I've even watched a game of the Rebels in my whole rugby career. And we were. I've never cheered so hard for them because we all knew that if Canterbury got the final, they're going to take it out. It's just what they do. So we needed the Rebels to win that one. So the Highlanders were the competition. Who knows how it's going to pan out. The Blues got a bit wobbly against the Force in the second half last week, so we'll see.
Yeah. It's been noted on the screen.
Actually, yeah, I was just about to say, Ian sent me that clip. I don't know what Kieran's on about there.
Kieran spoke very highly of your willingness to apply a flexible attitude to training.
Well,
that's what I'd say.
Yeah. Work life
he also
balance,
said he also said you're a very good leader.
Well,
he also
because I save so much energy not training.
Right, we're gonna wind this up because the surprise appearance from our New Zealand jury. Dean, you're gonna actually have to pull out a prediction here as well because this is how it's gonna work. So, Benetton on home soil, or the Bulls traveling all the way up here to the Northern Hemisphere to play in this final. I'm going to go first to Sean, right? And then on my screen, I'm saying Sean, then Williams, then Gcobani, then Dean. So Sean, go.
Okay. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think they're a proud bunch. They're hitting form. They're playing at home. It's a chance, to win some silverware. Mm-hmm. Kieran Crowley's going to Italy. So all the sort of moons are aligning. The one plus, some Razi's pulling his boys. Now, I don't think that includes Marcel Coetzee, does it?
No, it doesn't.
That's the one moon that doesn't align.
He's going to be there.
So if my prediction is, if they can curb Marcel Coetzee, they have a chance. But even depleted, I think the Bulls will win, but narrowly. I don't think it's going to be what everybody thinks.
That if they can curb, Coetzee is carrying a lot of water, my friend. That's what I say. Paul, before Paul, you actually have to make your prediction. Fiona's a Galway laddie, and a lot of people will be echo this sentiment. Please, Paul, say the Bulls.
I will say the Bulls. Normally, whatever I say, the opposite happens. For those people who don't know, it's really weird, and I worry about it sometimes, genuinely. But the Bulls.
Okay, short and sweet. I think I'd like to congratulate Benetton on their upcoming trophy.
Exactly, on their first silverware.
Gcobani Bobo, what's your prediction?
Yeah, Yeah, I look. The Bulls have been winning everything. They pretty much base their rugby on finals rugby. They play very much percentage rugby. They try to convert as much as they get into the 22, and they just do pressure transfer rugby. So it suits them that to travel away. I think Jake will be very keen to get them sort of focused to see how their DNA sort of flourishes in Europe. So I'm going for the Bulls. I think they're a confident team.
We got 3-0 so far for the Bulls. Dean Budd.
Well, yeah, I'll balance that and I'll say Benetton. I'm going to say, hopefully Jaden's playing. I don't know the team yet. I'm going to say Jaden for a last minute penalty from way out, just like he's done once against Connor. He's probably not even going to be kicking, but I'd just love to see that in his last game. He's had an incredible career there. So, I mean, there's a lot of really important members of the team that are leaving this year, so I think they'll get up for them, and I'll have to back them. So I'll say Benetton by the slightest of margins.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 12-point spread right now in favour of the Bulls, but with the 2 red cards that will be given against the Bulls and several captain's challenges.
Do you know what? You never know. That could happen. You could have a red card in the first 2 minutes, and then it's all bets off.
I really want extra time. That's all I want, because I like.
What you want is like Beirut, shots at goal. Stefan Armitage.
Yeah, back row forwards taking shots at goal.
That I do want. I don't want everyone flooding onto the pitch and getting everyone in trouble afterwards. But I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long journey, folks. This season we've gone through the Pro 14. We then had to sort of look around us and say, what are we going to do with this season? The Rainbow Cup came along. We've had a hell of a ride through the Rainbow Cup, helped by Benetton and helped by some of the South African play we've seen. We now have our final, Benetton against the Bulls. We'll be watching from our various places. Please join us, because there's going to be a lot of Twitter back and forth during the game, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then we have so much to look forward to for next season. So thank you to Martin Anayi for joining us at the start of the show to talk through the United Rugby Championship and what we have to look forward to. If you weren't in at the start of the show, go back, because there's a lot of questions go in from the commenters as well, and he feels a lot of them, and there's more that will be scooped up by producer Adam Redmond, and we'll put them out there in a future pod, because we like answering things. Thank you, Dean Budd. Amazing to see you just drop in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gcobani Bobo. Thank you, Paul Williams. Thank you, Sean Holley. My name's Andy McGeady. That was Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by Pro 14, or is it the United Rugby Championship? We'll see you soon, folks.